Good morning. We come to the next in our series on Old Testament characters, of men and women in the Bible. And this morning we're going to be looking at Aaron. Now, I don't know about you, but as we get a little bit older, we seem to think that our life's work is coming to an end. But that wasn't the situation with Moses that we heard about yesterday from Ian, and also with Aaron. Moses was 80 years of age and his brother Aaron was 83. Of course, the first mention of Aaron occurs in Exodus chapter 4 and verse 14. We see that Moses was resisting God's directive to bring his people out of Egypt. And God offered to send Aaron to help him because Aaron could speak well. God would be with all their words and teach them what to say, illustrating a very close relationship between God and his messenger. Now, there are many things in the life of Aaron that we could look at many occasions, and time won't permit us to go through every one of them, but we'll just try and go through some of the main points. Moses and Aaron were quite a team. Moses was like a god to Pharaoh and he spoke with authority, whereas Aaron was like a prophet, addressing the people with the words he was told to speak. Both Moses and Aaron went to their first meeting with Pharaoh, and it didn't go very well, and it resulted in the loss of straw for making bricks. And the Israelites were furious with Moses and Aaron when they found out the reason for Pharaoh's orders. Scholars really aren't sure how to explain the story whereby Aaron's rod became a serpent. When Pharaoh's magicians repeated the act, Aaron's serpent swallowed up the other serpents. Moses and Aaron, they stood shoulder to shoulder against Pharaoh throughout all of the plagues of Egypt, the Passover instructions and the march out of Egypt. After the Exodus, Aaron's next big job was to call all the people together to help Moses explain about the manna and the quail in the wilderness. And of course, there's the occasion with the Amalekites. Aaron and Hur held up Moses' hands during the battle with the Amalekites. And when Moses' hands were up, the Israelites were winning. And when the hands came down, the Amalekites started winning. And they held up Moses' hands until sunset. And Joshua overcame the Amalekites. But then just prior to the giving of the Ten Commandments, God invited Moses to bring Aaron with him up the mountain. Aaron is not mentioned again for many chapters. But does this mean that he was not there the whole time? And we can read about that in Exodus 19 and verse 24. Aaron was the high priest. His sons were the ministering priests. They were to be consecrated and pure. So the ceremony included actual washing, and they also sacrificed bulls for any of the sins that they may have committed. At precisely the same time, Moses and God were having this exalted conversation about Aaron. He was fulfilling the Israelites' request to make gods who will go before us, showing that even the holiest of men can be persuaded to do what's contrary to his beliefs. Furthermore, when Aaron would fashion the golden calf from their jewelry and gold, he proclaimed to them, "These are your gods, O Israel." This was a complete violation of the second commandment, that they should have no other gods before the God of Israel, and was a serious breach of the covenant that they had signed. Aaron's response is pathetic. First, he blamed the people for being prone to evil. Next, he claimed to have simply thrown all the metals into the fire, and out came the golden calf. Is he possibly suggesting a miracle here? And then most of Leviticus is a book which details Aaron as a high priest and the sons as ministering priests. In chapters 8 and 10, Aaron and the sons are actually inaugurated as priests. First, they are washed and then clothed with sacred garments. These steps were deliberate and meaningful. Aaron and the sons were ready to do their first sacrifice on behalf of the priests and the people. The people were all gathered around watching Aaron go through all of the steps. At the appropriate time, fire came down and consumed the sacrifice. This was seen as God's approval. Aaron passed all the tests he was in. Afterwards, he blessed all of the people. And in the midst of all of this holiness and joy, two of Aaron's sons overstepped their authority. On their own, they offered up fire to the Lord, and they were consumed on the spot. Several verses later, Aaron's two sons messed up a sacrifice when Moses rebuked them. Aaron came to their rescue, asking for clarification of certain policies. Moses didn't have an immediate answer, so these two sons were spared because of Aaron's intervention. But the grumbling against Moses continues. It began almost immediately when the Israelites left Mount Sinai. Water and food for 2 million people was always a concern. Nonetheless, God was up for the task. Aaron and Miriam complain against Moses. This was a two-pronged attack upon Moses. He had married a Cushite, and secondly, had the Lord only spoken through Moses? The first is an attack on Moses' wife. The second, a display of sibling rivalry. They were jealous that Moses was God's favourite. Miriam, of course, is the one who is afflicted with leprosy. Aaron would appear to get away with it. He does, of course, plead with Moses on Miriam's behalf, but maybe that's out of fear that the same might happen to him. The next rebellion involved a Levite named Korah. He and 250 others were mostly angry with Moses, but Aaron their secondary target. And perhaps Korah thought he could be a high priest. Moses proposed a test. They were all to bring censers and fire and incense, and only the priests were supposed to have censers. So this was really a test. Korah and two followers were swallowed up by the earth, vindicating Aaron and Moses. But the grumbling increased next day, and a plague began, but this time it was Aaron who offered up incense and atonement for the people, and the plague stopped. So what we can see from these things is that, even the best of men are not men at best. Moses and Aaron and the son Eleazar went up to the top of Mount Hor. There Moses transferred Aaron's garments to his son, thus symbolizing the transfer of office and authority. Aaron never came down the mountain. He died up there, and the people mourned Aaron for 30 days. Aaron's job was finished. But there are some serious lessons that we can learn from this, and it's this: that in no way is God mocked at all. God is holy, and he expects his people to be holy as well. Secondly, God's grace in the life of Aaron is demonstrated and is seen clearly despite his failures. And then lastly, God has provided for us a great high priest who is our Lord Jesus Christ, in that he sacrificed and laid down his life as the final sacrifice for sin. I hope you have a blessed day today. God bless you and thank you.